What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio back at you with another video. So, this video is about the OKC Thunder. Um, just finished watching the OKC versus Golden State game from Oklahoma City. The crowd was wild. Russell Westbrook balled out as usual. I think he ended up with 47 points. Maybe like 11 rebounds and 8 assists. He narrowly missed the triple-double. And they still lost. They had a chance early in the fourth, and they also made a little run in the third, to try to make it competitive, but they couldn't because they don't have enough talent on that team. It's a very sad thing to watch. In this particular situation with the OKC Thunder, it's just a situation where they can't legitimately compete with the Golden State Warriors, even though they really want to beat the Golden State Warriors. It's crazy, man. Let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder's roster. There's Alex Abrines. Okay. Steven Adams, the big center, definitely a stud player. Samaj Christian. I believe he's a rookie. If he's not a rookie, he's a very young player. Nick Collison, who doesn't even really play anymore, who's been there forever. So he's basically just like a locker room guy at this point. Jeremy Grant. Now, I really like Jeremy Grant as a bench player, coming off the bench or whatever. I like what he brings. He brings a lot of energy. He's inconsistent from outside, but he can make the three at times. He's also a very long defender, even though he's not that great of a defender yet, but I think he has the opportunity to become a great defender. There's Josh, I don't even know how to say the last name. He doesn't even play. I think I've seen him featured in the game earlier this season, but he didn't even play anymore. I don't know if he's injured or what. There's Enes Kanter, who's injured right now. He was playing really good off the bench, in the off-the-bench role. A lot of offensive rebounds, a lot of putbacks. He's very skilled offensively in the post. He's bad on defense. He's pretty bad on defense, but he's a very good offensive option. Geoffrey, I don't know if Joffrey or Jeffrey, whatever, Laverne. He's a guy who comes in and his production is inconsistent. Sometimes he comes in and he has an impact. Other times he comes in and he goes out without you noticing. There's Anthony Morrow. I'm not a big fan of Anthony Morrow. I feel like he can shoot threes, and you don't get too much more out of Anthony Morrow. You have Victor Oladipo, who I really like the backcourt that they built in OKC. If you really think about the NBA right now, the NBA teams are the top teams or whatever have strong backcourts. If you look at Golden State, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, obviously. You go over to Washington, you got John Wall and Bradley Beal. You go up to Toronto, you got Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. You know, the NBA, you go to Portland, you have CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. Strong backcourts. I feel like in time, the Russell Westbrook and the Victor Oladipo backcourt can be that type of a backcourt, except instead of shooting, there'll be like that athletic backcourt or whatever. So I do like Victor Oladipo and Russell Westbrook. In fact, you got Cameron Payne, the backup point guard. He shows signs from time to time. I think he'll be a player. Andre Robertson. So the word is that the Thunder front office really love Andre Robertson. I actually like Andre Robertson. I believe he's a very smart basketball player. He's obviously a very athletic, long defender, which is why they have him. But I also think last year in the playoffs, like, he can't shoot. That's one thing I never understood about some of these guys. The fact that he just cannot shoot. Like, he's open from threes and he knows where he's going to get his shots every game, but he just cannot shoot consistently. Okay, be that as it may, I do love the fact that he moves off the ball. His off the ball movement is great. Like he knows exactly when to make the cuts or whatever. You see him more often than not wide open under the basket because a backdoor cut he got, somebody turned their head or whatever. He really knows how to get like those little buckets or whatever. So I can appreciate that, and that's how he stays on the court. So you have that, and I think he's a fixture that they can keep well into the future because they use him in a lot of creative ways. They change his position. He's a small forward. One game, he's really a shooting guard, but he plays basically center. Sometimes he plays power forward a lot. He played power forward in college. So I like what Andre Robertson brings. I just think they have to use him correctly. You have Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis. I really like the player this guy can become. I like the player he is currently. He does have to get better. He does have to improve quite a bit, but I do like him. I think in the future they can keep him. They also have Kyle Singler. I'm not a big fan. I never was, even from Duke. And then you have none other than Russell Westbrook. So to me, this team has had a pretty good season. I think they're currently like 7th seed, a game out of the 6th seed or whatever. And but this team isn't good enough. Like they're overachieving as is, but this team is just not good enough. I feel like they need to add a small forward. They need to have a starting small forward added to this team. So earlier this season, I was always talking about, okay, if you look over at Sacramento, they have a guy they don't even want. I mean, who really knows what's going on in Sacramento anyway? So they have this guy, Rudy Gay, right? Gets buckets. Like he's not the greatest player or whatever, but he gets buckets. He gets you what you need. On this team, I thought that would have been a perfect fit because he has. I really do like what the Thunder, the structure of what they have going on right now. All right, they have the 2 athletic guards, right? They have a pretty good backup point guard that's coming up. Andre Robertson's there. He looks like he's going to be a main fixture. He's a long defender. He's athletic. He can play multiple positions. He moves off the ball well, and there's a possibility he could become at least decent shooter, 3-point shooter at some point. So you have that. Flip it. Look at the big man rotation that you have trotting out there. You have Steven Adams, who's a beast in the playoffs. He's a huge guy, and he has some skills. He's gotten better, and he has the opportunity to get even better in the future. Okay, you have that guy. You have Enes Kanter. Once again, very, very offensively skilled in the post. Very, very good on the boards. He'll get you a lot of offensive rebounds, get you a lot of rebounds in general. You have this Laverne Gad, who I think could get better, who I think might be all right at this point. And then you even have this Jeremy Grant kid who's coming up, and then you have the Sabonis that you just drafted, who just already shows signs of being a pretty good player. You have a gaping hole in the middle, and you have no shooting, right? I think Rudy Gay, that offensive punch in there, is somebody else to get buckets, because every time you watch that, you see Russell Westbrook trying to do everything, and then when he really is trying to push the issue, he starts jacking up shots, and then when he starts jacking, then it's downhill basically, because there's nobody to get the ball to. If they key in on him, then there's not much anybody can do to help. That's why I thought Rudy Gay would have been a good option to bring into that team. He probably would have balled out this season, and it's also a contract season anyway. So I thought he would have balled out. He got injured though. He got injured earlier this year, so he's out for the season. I think it was Achilles injury or whatever. So he's gone for the season. So he's out. Who else could help the Thunder at that small forward position, the starting small forward position? Also, note, I think the plan was if they were able to get a small forward in, Victor Oladipo would switch over to a backup shooting guard role. Andre Robertson will switch over to playing shooting guard, and that small forward will get right into that starting lineup. So who else is out there? I'll just read through a couple. So I already said Rudy Gay. I'm looking at a list of like the top small forwards or whatever. Justice Winslow, no, it wouldn't help. Al-Farouq Amino, I don't even know why he's on this list. He wouldn't help. Damari Carroll, you need a very strong offensive small forward, specifically somebody who can shoot well from three. If they could get their hands on Otto Porter, who's having a career season from behind the arc right now from Washington, which is impossible because they're going to re-sign him. He's not going anywhere. But if they get their hands on somebody like them, he would fit perfectly. I also think Harrison Barnes would have been a good fit, but he ended up going to Dallas in the offseason. I said that the minute Kevin Durant left, that they should go after Harrison Barnes. Chandler Parsons, no, I don't think he's a good player. Tobias Harris, I don't think he's a great player. And plus, he doesn't fit what they need. Trevor Ariza, he's old. He doesn't really fit what they need. Danilo Gallinari, I don't even know how to say his name. He had some good seasons early with Denver a couple seasons ago. I haven't heard much from him. I don't know how much he has left of this. I know he's still a young player, but after all the injuries, it seems like he's been out on injury for a while now. Andrew Wiggins, he's just never leaving. Jay Crowder, no, he doesn't fit what they would need. Nicholas Batum doesn't fit what they would need either. Iguodala's old, and he definitely wouldn't fit. Antetokounmpo is ranked 7 on this list. I don't know how old this list is. He should be higher than 7. That's not possible. Gordon Hayward, not possible. Locked up. Which brings me to the only other real possibility, Carmelo Anthony. For all the talk of Carmelo Anthony to Cleveland, which is not going to happen because Cleveland is not going to give up Kevin Love, or Carmelo to the LA Clippers, which I think would make sense, but from the reports that you hear coming out of both sides saying that New York would only want Austin Rivers, JJ Redick, and Jamal Crawford. And then they said the Clippers said no because they didn't want to give up JJ Redick. It's just ridiculous. Like, that's a ridiculous package for Carmelo. Carmelo's worth more than those guys put together easily. But supposedly the Clippers said no, we want to hang on to JJ Redick. These teams, it doesn't work, right? Even if he went to a Cavaliers team with those guys, there's a lot going on, okay? I don't like it. But what's a realistic option for Carmelo Anthony? Now, granted, he probably would not waive his no-trade clause. Honestly, if we want to get on Carmelo Anthony, I'll take a quick tangent to Carmelo Anthony. I don't think he should have went to the Knicks in the first place. The Knicks should not have traded for him. They had Amari Stoudemire, and they were on a nice little roll. If you remember, that's also, I don't know if that was before they got the young man, Jeremy Lin or whatever, but I remember they were on a nice roll. They got Carmelo, and it kind of messed up what they had going. Now, granted, a season later, they did have a good season. The one good season they had while he was there, when they won like over 50 games or whatever, but it was a bad trade from the beginning. And being he left a smaller market to go to a big market, I don't think he's going to leave a big market to go to OKC. Like, I just don't think, I think he's more, I don't want to say lifestyle, like he want like the rich and famous lifestyle, but I mean, the city he plays in, I think he wants that to be the city he lives in, if that makes sense. That's what it seems like. So being that, I don't think he would waive his no trade clause to go to OKC. But if it was just about getting in a position where you could win, I think OKC would be perfect because he's the scoring punch that Russell Westbrook needs. I honestly think that would be a perfect match for this, especially for the rest of this season, considering what's going on with the Knicks or whatever. If he can get onto this team, because OKC will make the playoffs. If he was on that team, if Carmelo were to get traded to OKC and OKC can avoid, and it's not even too much OKC could trade for him. So it would basically be Enes Kanter and Alex Abrinas and probably somebody else. Enes Kanter, other than Russell Westbrook, Enes Kanter is the only one making any significant amount of money. And I'm just talking about from NBA language or whatever. I'm not talking about it in real life. But Russell Westbrook makes 26,000. Enes Kanter makes 17 million. And then after Enes Kanter, the next highest paid person is Victor Oladipo at 6.5 million. So the package would have to be Kanter plus like Abrinas or Victor Oladipo, but they're not going to trade Oladipo. And somebody else to finish filling up the gap. Look, even Steven Adams makes like $3 million. Nobody on OKC makes any money. So that trade, because I think Carmelo makes around 25 million, 21 to 25 million or something like that. So it would have to be some kind of trade like that. So that's really what you would have to do. And honestly, there's really nobody else out there. Paul George, but the Pacers would never trade him, and then you start getting into the real great players. Well, those guys are great players too. Yeah, I think that Melo would have, if he was to come to OKC, he'd help out a lot. I think that's a long shot. I would have said Rudy Gay would have been the perfect situation, but he's hurt. So it's a tough one, man. But I basically came on here and made the video because it bothers me. It bothers me to sit there and watch Russell Westbrook playing so hard, and he's really, really trying to get at the Warriors, and he can't. He literally does not have the guys to back him. Like, he doesn't have the talent, doesn't have the guns. So it's like especially if you look at who the Thunder are, the Warriors are. You have Curry. So you have Steph Curry, and Russell Westbrook in his heart believes he's easily better than Steph Curry. I don't care what anybody says. I know Russell Westbrook. You can tell by the way he plays him. And then you have Kevin Durant, the traitor who left OKC to join up a team that he could have beat last year. He could have been instrumental in beating. They had him down 3-1, and he leaves his team to join their team. And then you got this guy, Russell Westbrook, there who's playing his heart out, trying to take them out, and just can't. He just literally can't. It's almost like a little kid fighting an adult or something like that. It's crazy, man. Anyway, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you enjoyed the game. Comments about Russ, comments about the small forwards I mentioned, comments about Kevin Durant. All right, see you next time.